Hey, welcome to another episode of Legion Elite Motorsports. I'm your host, Isaiah, and today we are going to prepare the engine for the new computer, that being FuelTech. And if you're new here, definitely consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon, but also remember, watch the video all the way through. Looks good on the algorithm. So until then, let's get started. Okay, so first very important thing that you want to consider with any engine is how an aftermarket computer is supposed to read the revolutions of the engine. And I'm not talking about RPM signal. I'm talking about cam and crank signal. So cam is here. That's the cam sensor right here. Then crank is right here. So those definitely have to be wired in accordingly to get everything done. But the funny thing is that if you look at how the cam and the crank actually function, you'll see it has two photos, because it does something called wasted spark. So normal operation of a wasted spark, you'd have a coil here that runs 1 and 4, and then another coil here that runs 2 and 3. So in order to operate something like that, all you need is two photos. Same with Evo 8, Evo 9, Evo 10, they did change it. So there is that subtle difference, but we're talking all Mirage and 4G94 engines. They have two photos. Actually, 4G69 has the same thing, but that one's a little bit more complicated. But anyway, focusing on this, when setting up the FuelTech, you're going to need to set up your crank and cam sensor. So we're going to dive into programming a little bit later, but this is what we're going to do to get the engine ready for FuelTech. So first thing we have to do is modify the cam sensor. So we're going to take loose, and I already pre-loosened these just so you know, and we're going to take loose these two. We're gonna pull this off. See? Cam sensor. All right, and then, and again, I already pre-loosened this. This is the two photos. They're slightly off kilter for however the computer chooses to read, or however Mitsubishi decided to make that happen. But we have to take this off, okay? So we take the cam sensor out, which is this guy here. You see one's bigger and one's smaller. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off the bigger one, and we're gonna use this one as just a reference to see where the cam is at. So that's how that's gonna go. Has a keyway, so you can't put it on any other way except the correct way, so that makes life easy. So here we are in said workshop. Reason I brought this is because this definitely needs some paint. It's looking pretty rough. So I'm gonna pop off this sensor, tape up this hole, get a nice fresh coat of paint on there. That's gonna look pretty. Next, we're going to cut off the long photo wheel. Now, if you end up not using FuelTech at some point, I'm pretty sure you could pick these up at the junkyard fairly cheap. So, no big deal. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut this off. Let me get a small vice grip. We'll get it in there and start cutting. Okay, so we got the cutoff wheel, mini vise, and sensor. So we got the large photo standing up, and we're gonna give it a cut, and we'll be right back. Smooth it down with that guy and get it done. Okay, so once that wheel is gone, polish it up, clean it up, make it look presentable to the engine, and it's good to go. I'm gonna wipe it out. I see a little, metal shavings there, but nothing too crazy. So next, we're gonna pop out this sensor, and we're going to clean up that housing, and she'll be good to go. So let me pick a color, and I'll be right back. All right, nice glossy black. Gonna let that dry and everything. I actually took the screws and the sensor out, which is over here. Gave these a nice polish. All right, sensor. Alrighty, so that'll come out perfect. I'm going to start assembling the cam sensor back. Okay, so put your 12mm back in there. The engine is in top dead center. These are going to be the 12s to reassemble the actual housing that holds the cam sensor. So now that that modification is done, now we can finish putting on the housing. It should be dry by now. And after we put on the housing and put the cam sensor back in, let's dive into some programming. Get the FuelTech acquainted with the engine. Okay, so we put the cover back on. Random 10mm, clean that up and put that back. Got the cam sensor in, including cleaned up the 10mm there. And then we have the 12mm. I didn't clean those up, but they are not too bad. So that is all of the modification that is needed for the engine. Now let's get welcomed to the computer system, to the engine. Okay, so never mind the background, that's just dreams and aspirations, but download your FuelTech manager. Okay, so you're going to start a new map. All right. Then, depending on which model, you want to click your model over here. You want to do other features, internal data logging, whichever ones apply to you. Fuel pump and all of that other good stuff. Start button. Whatever you want, just go through it, select which ones you would like, and then hit next. So next screen is engine setup. So they have piston type, rotary, so on and so forth, and then the FT450, what I have is up to 2 rotors. I think 550 can do up to 8 rotors, but that's here nor there. And then we're basing everything off of map sensor. You can put your maximum pounds of boost that you plan on running, including your maximum RPM that you plan on running. Okay, so we're gonna do, let's just say, let's do 25 or 25.1. Maximum RPM, you can lower that down to, well, mine is 8,300, but let's just say right about there. Okay, and then after that, we're gonna go with the firing order 1342, which is this one, covers a lot of different cars, and then press next. Okay, now this is the part that I was telling you about, how we're going to be receiving RPM signal and engine revolution and everything like that. So for us, which is the Mirage community period, is going to be Hall effect sensor, right? And then this is going to be the same thing for the cam. Then over here, your crank, you're going to scroll up, and you're going to do 2 at the crank, 4 at the cam, but we're going to do, excuse me, random Hall at the cam, and then the teeth index position is going to be 75. This is very valuable because you don't want to mess this up, otherwise the car will never start. So let me speed this up here. Alrighty. Alright. And then let's see. So this one is going to be raising type for the RPM sensor, and then this one is going to be falling type. So make sure you get that part absolutely correct, and we're ready to move on. So we're running wasted spark, whether it's rewired or not, it doesn't matter, because mine is rewired to run K-series coils, but it still runs wasted spark method, just fires 2 K-series coils instead of 1. And then falling edge. And then for injectors, we're only doing primaries. If you do have secondaries, that's perfectly fine. You could do that. And then here, primary bank, total flow. So this is all 4 injectors combined. So this is liters per, liters per hour. So mine is 950, right? But you have to times that by 4, comes up to about 360. Okay, so for instance, it says total flow is the sum of injectors flowed at the bank. Example, 4 injectors with 80 pounds has a total of 320 total flow. So we're running, let me see, 90-pound injectors. So that is 360. So that's what we put in there. And then if you know your dead time, depending on what injectors you're running, you could pop it in right here, or leave it at the default, which is 1 millisecond, and take it from there. Next, we're running TPS. We're gonna run it as no actuator for now for idle air control, and then we'll take it from there. And then this is what compression ratio. So my compression ratio is like flat top, probably 10 to 1, 9.8 to 1, somewhere around there. So we'll call that medium compression. The cam profile I'm gonna say is low because it's variable. So at idle, you're going to get the low side, and then at higher RPMs, you're gonna get the high side. So you wanna set it to low so it knows what dead time to shoot the injectors at. Long story short, and then before we forget, you're running your fuel type, and it's gonna be gas for me. If you're running E85, you could definitely put that in there, no problem, and be good to go. So now it's gonna generate a map, and it's gonna ask you, do you wanna view your wiring diagram? And you're gonna press no for right now. So this is your basic, super basic map for your primary fuel. And there's multiple ways of adjusting your fuel at this window right here. But what we're gonna do now is we want to go to the bottom. All right, and then you wanna do measuring units, just so you're not seeing something foreign. Alrighty, so instead of bar, we're gonna do PSI. I'm gonna do Fahrenheit and air fuel ratio and mile per hour. Let me see, there's more down here. All right, gallons per minute. Yep, that's fine. We'll leave it there. And then you hit confirm. That's going to make sure that is kept that way and doesn't move anywhere else. So then after that, so what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set up the inputs so you can get an idea of what your wiring diagram is going to look like. There we go. So these are the input wires. You see we have two-step TPS, oil pressure, engine temperature, fuel pressure, and air temp sensors. So two-step, that's input going to the computer. TPS, that's going into the computer. Oil pressure, I might change this one out. Alrighty, for something else here, so you can scroll down and choose. Let's start from A. AC button, AC compressor, air temperature, anti-lag button or switch. Let's see. Scramble boost button. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Clutch button. Bump box differential control downshift. EGT for up to 12 cylinders. EGT right bank, left bank. I think we have engine temperature on there already. No flex fuel. Let's see. Ignition cut. Low beam. We already have a map sensor built into the computer. Hold on a second. Okay, so we have selected wastegate pressure. All right, for that one, input. And then let's see, engine temperature, fuel pressure, air temperature, all of that looks good. We got another one here that we can set up. AC button, fan control. Oh, did it again, hold on, there we go. Clutch switch, so on and so forth. Mainly, you want to put in as many engine sensors as possible. So, I think I got pretty much all of them. Yep, I think I got them all. Okay, so then after that, you can jump out of this one. Alrighty, and then you want to, so after you click your items you want to keep, you have to connect what sensors coming in as. So negative signal with pull up. Okay, TPS. It's gonna be default. All right. Wastegate pressure. Gonna do to keep it as default PS 150. Engine default. fuel pressure, PS 150, air temperature sensor, flat default. Okay, so now that we're done with that, so next we're gonna go to outputs right here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna start having the FuelTech control some things. So for me, I'm gonna be using variable camshaft, which is technically VTech. Then, if you look from the top, these 4 are non-configurable. These are all 4 injectors that are going to be running on their own. And remember, the models of the FT series, the higher the number, the more outputs. So we're kind of limited. Got the 3-way boost controller there. You just click the down screen and select whichever one you want. Hit OK. Take it from there. And then if you look over here, I have more outputs. So I can do auxiliary anti-lag output, fuel pump, so on and so forth. And then these 2 are the ignition coils, 1 and 2, smart coils, of course. And you can configure, well, you can't configure that, but you can configure these here, whatever's not shaded. So I have that already pre-configured. So I have control over the fuel pump, the VTech solenoid, and the boost control. That should be good enough. And let me see. So now you have to go to, okay, so next you're going to set your alert settings, stuff like rev limiter, warning only, boost cut, overheating, stuff like that. So safety mode, warning only, injector duty, high pressure, we're not going to need that. EGT, not going to need that. Let's see. Overheating. Over here, you want to enable that. And you want it to run in safe mode if it overheats or cut off. Either one, you can select with this drop down here and choose whichever one you see fit. Let's see, low oil pressure, engine shut off. You set the value down here, 7.3 psi. Same thing over here. You set the safety mode temperature, which is 240. Let's see what else we got here. We got a lot of warnings, which is good. Over boost, if you go past a certain level, it'll go into safety mode, which we could actually bring this down. Let's do, alrighty, let's do 25. Alrighty, and it'll go into safety mode. Let's see. Then, let's see what else they have for options. Yep, seems to be about it. So that works. So set that, make sure that's to your liking, so the computer knows what you don't like and what you do like and what you want it to do when it happens, or hopefully it doesn't happen, but either way. So next, so after you set up all of that goodness, we're going to go to wiring diagram. And this is for your FT450, of course. The other ones have 2 there. But anyway, so yeah, you can actually print this. You can change it. You can do whatever you want with it. But see print over there on the left side of the screen. So basically you want to get this basic setup to make sure that this is to your liking and does what you want it to do. And yes, that looks good. I think we'll keep it. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to call that an episode right there. There's a lot of valuable information in this episode, particularly because there's a way to start the car. If you don't know, it'll never start, and you'd want to end up, leaving FuelTech. But because the system is that good, this information is also that good also. So worst case, if you run into any troubles or problems, you can definitely hit up FuelTech. They have an excellent tech support team. So with that being said, I will see you guys next time. Remember to hit that bell icon and subscribe. Subscribe first, hit the bell icon second. And I'll see you next episode.